Hey there, amazing listeners. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Transform Yourself, the podcast that's all about empowering you to shed those stubborn pounds and embrace your best selves. We are your hosts, Kacy and Tyler. We use the 4 M's of fitness, mind shift, meal shift, micro habits, and muscle building to create attainable and sustainable weight loss. We have lost a collective 130 pounds about 3 years ago, and we've kept it off. So if you are a fitness enthusiast, a beginner, maybe you're just curious about making positive changes to your body, Transform Yourself is your go-to source for inspiration, information, and a good dose of motivation. And today's episode, ladies, we are going to talk about that little voice in your head that whispers, F it. I already messed up. Might as well go all in. Yeah. We've all been there.
Hell, I was there today.
Were you?
Well, Did
you have an F it moment?
Yeah, because it's a Saturday, and if you're listening, if we be quiet for just 1 second. Well, now, of course, you can't hear it, but it's raining. It's a very dreary day here, and it's cold, and my gym is a garage, and it's 40 degrees, like 39 degrees.
Yeah.
And, I had a big case of F-its because I was like, I really don't want to go out there and do this.
But you did, though.
I did go out there and do it.
You did do it.
Went out there, got a nice little pump. Feel pretty good.
Did you? Okay. So then you didn't allow you had a case of the F-its, but
I overcame.
You overcame it. Okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure where that was
story.
Going. Okay. Yeah. I was not sure if it was going to be a success story or not. Oh, well, great. Perfect. Yeah. Well, we all have been there, though, when one unplanned cookie turns into a whole box of cookies. I mean, I've been there. Maybe one workout, like one missed workout, will spiral into a whole week off of working out, and then suddenly you're stuck into a cycle of frustration. But today, I am going to talk to you about how to break the F-it cycle. And we're going to dive into the science behind the F-it mentality. There is actual science behind this. We're going to talk about how to rewire your brain for consistency. And then we're also going to talk about the power of fast recovery, how to fail fast. I'm going to teach you that. So grab your coffee, or if you are listening to this on a walk, lace up your sneakers and let's transform your mindset today. So we'll start with the science behind the F-it mentality. It turns out it's not just willpower issue, it's neuroscience. So this is all about a dopamine trap. Your brain is wired to seek reward and pleasure. And when you eat a forbidden food, cookie, full fat ice cream, waffle, whatever it is for you, when you eat that forbidden food, pizza, you skip a workout, your brain releases dopamine, that feel-good neurotransmitter. And that is going to reinforce the habit of giving in. So you're reinforcing to yourself when you give a case of the F-its and you give into that dopamine hit is going to reinforce that you're going to want to do that again. And your brain is basically doing exactly that. Your brain's saying, hey, you know what? That felt good. Let's do that again. And when your actions don't match your goals, like your goal is you want to lose fat, but your action is that you are still overeating pizza, you experience brain discomfort. So instead of dealing with discomfort, you are going to try to justify your behavior, cue the F-it spiral that you're going to be in. So this has actually been studied in scientific studies. It was, instead of calling it the F-it effect, they called it the what the hell effect. This was studied, let's see, in 1975 by Herman and Mack.
Herman and Mack?
Herman and Mack.
Is that two people?
Two people. And 1975, the year I was born. So let's break it down. So psychologists, Peter Herman and Janet Paul-Levy, I don't know where Matt came from. Anyways,
okay.
I'm looking at the data as I do this podcast. They conducted an experiment to understand dietary restraint and overeating behaviors. And their research focused on how people react when they felt broken in their diet. And here's how their study worked. Okay. So they took a bunch of individuals and put them into two groups, divided them in two groups. One group was a group of people who had already been dieters. They were actively restricting their food intake and had been. And the other group was non-dieters, people who were not in a diet phase, not trying to restrict their intake. And they had these participants drink a milkshake. So everybody drank a milkshake. And this is where it gets interesting. After drinking the milkshake, they were given access to unlimited ice cream and asked to rate the flavors.
Wait.
That sounds...
This sounds like heaven.
Right? Doesn't it? Like, I'm like, why was I not invited to this study?
Can you imagine?
I get it,
like,
was born.
The person sitting down in a lab coat, like explaining, like, okay, we've got this very serious experiment. It's like, first, we're going to administer milkshakes. And everyone's like, go on. Like, are these laced with fentanyl? Or
Right.
what's the problem?
What is this
like,
about?
no, just regular milkshakes. Okay,
And
what's
then
the
you
next
get-
thing? Oh, ice cream.
Unlimited ice cream.
Unlimited ice cream.
I know.
Oh, man.
I know. Okay, so yes, y'all know how much I love ice cream. So this sounds like a dreamy type of study for me. Anyways, so they gave them a milkshake. Then they gave them unlimited access to ice cream. And here's what they found. The people who were the dieters, had been dieting, had been restricting their food. They ate significantly more ice cream after drinking the milkshake compared to the non-dieters. The non-dieters were able to regulate their intake of the ice cream according to their hunger and fullness cues. So the dieters had a psychological response of, well, I already messed up, so I might as well just eat more.
Just keep going.
I mean, y'all, I've had that thought. I know you listeners out there, you're like, oh, yeah, that's me. Mm-hmm. Yes, I know
That's
you've
most
had
people.
that. Yes, I know you've had that thought. You've already messed up. You've already blown it. F it, right? So this is a real thing. But this comes from the idea that the dieters were being restrictive. The study revealed that the rigid dieting and the food restriction is what made the backfire happen. Because once somebody feels like they failed, they just abandon all control. And this just happens because of a conflict called cognitive dissonance. When your actions, overeating, don't match your goals, sticking to a diet. So again, that's just when you spiral into the F it loop. So you have to ask yourselves, is it possible to be in a calorie deficit without being super rigid or restrictive? Because this is why the dieters, having that thought of, I've already messed up, I'm going to eat as much ice cream as I want or can eat, even though I'm already full on ice cream, because they felt restricted. So how can we be in a calorie deficit? This is where I'm asking you, how can we be in a calorie deficit without feeling deprived, without feeling restricted? Is that possible? And spoiler alert, yes, it is possible. We're going to talk about that in a minute. If you are telling yourself, because you're going on a diet, right? Like I've got to lose weight for that wedding. I've got to lose weight for that vacation. I've got to lose weight for whatever it is, right? Whatever the reason, if you tell yourself, I'm going to completely cut out and restrict all sugar from myself. Okay, well, great. But the next time you have sugar, you're going to overconsume it, period, because of the psychological response to restricting yourself. So you have to set up a plan that is reasonable and puts you in a calorie deficit without being restrictive. And I know, listeners, I know all of you very well because I talk to women over 40, women in their 40s, 50s, 60s. They all tell me, oh, I've been dieting since my 20s.
That in and of itself has got to be frustrating.
Yes.
You've been on that treadmill for 10, 20 years or so.
Yes, they've been on a very frustrating treadmill, and they've had successes with various diets, Weight Watchers, Optivia, whatever it is, right? They've had success, but then they've always fallen off plan. And that is because what you're trying is restrictive. So we have to find a better way. There is absolutely a better way. Dieting should not be about perfection. It should be about flexibility. It should be about removing guilt so that we can remove the cycle of efforts. Instead of labeling food as good or bad and spiraling when you eat something you label as bad, try having a self-compassionate approach. Accept the slip up as part of your journey. Make the next choice a good one instead of waiting till Monday, right? Like, how many times have you had a F it moment on the weekend and you're like, well, F it, I'm just going to wait till Monday. Or I'm just going to wait until after the holiday. Or I'm just going to wait
3 weeks of the year.
Right? Or I'm just going to wait until the first of the next month, right? Like, why are we doing this? Instead of seeing one mistake as a catastrophe, reframe it as just one choice. One meal, one snack,
it's one page.
One missed workout does not erase your progress. What you do next after you have a mistake, what you do next matters most. Stepping on the scale can be another huge trigger for the F it mentality, by the way. Many women associate the number on the scale with success or failure. And there's never been a single client in the hundreds and thousands of clients I've had lose weight linearly only. Meaning the scale goes down, the scale goes up, the scale goes down, the scale goes up. That is how it goes for everyone, including me. Weight fluctuations are completely normal due to water retention, hormones, muscle recovery, a lot of different things. So seeing a higher number, despite doing everything right, can lead to frustration. I get that. But don't allow that frustration to become an F it moment where it leads to emotional eating. Your body is a very dynamic system, not just a math equation. So reacting to the scale emotionally is something that takes work. We have to work on not reacting to it emotionally. Using the scale data as one data point and then focusing on trends over time, that is going to help better define your progress. So now that we know that your brain is wired for short-term pleasure, aka that dopamine hit, right? Let's talk about how to override that. Let's talk about the rule of 1% improvement. Instead of aiming for perfection, aim for 1% better each day. Progress is going to beat perfection every single time. A small degree of change executed with a large degree of consistency will give you dramatically better results. So, what can we do? Plan for indulgences. I did a Instagram live yesterday, and I was talking about this, and I talked about the idea that I plan for my indulgences, and somebody said, yeah, I just have a cheat day. And somebody else in the comments said, yeah, I just have a cheat meal. And here's the deal. I do not like it to call it cheat meal. I don't like it to call it a cheat day. The only thing you can cheat on is your taxes and your ex, period. So we're not cheating on ourselves, because if you tell yourself you're cheating on yourself with a cheat meal or a cheat day, you're inherently considering that cheating is a bad thing, right? So you're assigning an emotion or a moral judgment to it. Yeah. Yeah. You're assigning it a moral judgment. Exactly. So instead, let's flip the script. Let's call it a planned indulgence, right? So if you're consistently in a calorie deficit, but with a lot of restrictions, you're more likely to say F it when temptation strikes. But instead, you can say, you know what? I'm going to plan to have a sweet treat once a day. This prevents the all or nothing binge cycle. I plan ice cream every single night. I have been in my own personal calorie deficit for 10 weeks. It keeps me feeling, when I plan my ice cream, it keeps me feeling like I'm not on a diet, so to speak. I'm not in a calorie deficit. It makes me feel like I'm indulging, because it's chocolate ice cream with berries, because I like the added fiber. By the way, it is homemade creamy. Ninja creamy ice cream. So it's made with like cashew milk, and it's made with Fairlife milk. And so it is high protein, low calorie ice cream, but it is chocolatey. And I add berries for fiber, and then I add some low calorie chocolate sauce to it. And I feel like I'm having an ice cream sundae every night. And knowing that I get to have an ice cream sundae every night as a part of my calorie deficit makes me feel like I'm not in a diet. Like I'm not in a calorie deficit. I'm very excited about it.
And if something is going to happen, is going to interrupt that, boy, you better watch out.
Our creamy almost broke the other day, and Ty was
PSA. You got to let that
Ty
sucker
walked out of the room. He was afraid of what would happen if our Ninja Creamy actually broke, but it did not. It did its job.
Yeah, it ran. You gotta let it melt a little bit.
Yeah,
before you run the machine.
Yeah, our ice cream was way too frozen. And here's the thing. I mean, I've said it before. We tend to make choices based on our feelings. And so if you're feeling restricted and you feel deprived, you are going to make a choice in relation to that feeling. Whereas if you feel satisfied, you feel like you're not in a calorie deficit, even though you are, well, then you're much more likely to stay the course. And that's the whole point. We want to stay the course, but you have to create that for yourself. You have to ask yourself questions. What is it that would create a calorie deficit for me that would allow me to feel like I'm still indulging, to allow me to feel really satisfied? Next time you hear yourself saying, screw it, I'll start over Monday, or you're like, F it, I literally want you to say to yourself, even out loud if you want to, nope, that's not how this works anymore. Nope, that is not how I work. One choice does not define me. I am going to get right back on track. So if you find yourself in an F it moment, if you find yourself with a handful of cookies, it's okay. That's one choice. That does not mean you have to wait until Monday to start again. That does not mean, it only means you're one choice away from getting back on track, period. And here's the real secret to long-term fat loss. It's not about never messing up. It's about recovering quickly. Because if I said to my clients, all right, you're going to eat in this calorie deficit, and you're going to do this many workouts per week, and you're going to hit this walking goal, and you're going to, and don't ever make a mistake. Like, no, that's unrealistic. I mess up. Of course, we're going to fail, but I want you to fail fast. Because when we fail fast, we win big. Use the 10-minute rule. If you go off track, give yourself 10 minutes to reset. I'm serious. Get your phone out. Put a timer, 10 minutes, drink a glass of water, go for a short walk, journal, do some deep breathing. Disrupt that spiral before it starts to spiral even further. So if you go off track and you're like, ooh, in your head, you're telling yourself, I shouldn't have had that piece of pizza. That's a whole nother topic, using the word should and shouldn't with yourself. You chose to have that pizza. You justified the piece of pizza. Okay, great. We're going to fail fast. We're going to set a timer and say, it's fine. Not a big deal. That does not make me a bad person. That piece of pizza does not actually derail my overall progress.
So when you say fail fast, you really just mean get over it quick. Don't dwell on it. Move on.
Yes. Let go of guilt. Don't dwell. Exactly.
Okay.
Well said.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome. Call me Tyler GPT.
Right. No more starting over on Monday. If you overeat a lunch, okay, fail fast. Make a good choice for dinner.
It's one meal.
Right.
Like, okay, so you've always made the analogy that, your a year of your life is 365 pages. If you eat one meal wrong, that's a third of one page.
Right.
Is a third of one page of any book going to totally dramatically change,
right? Even if I tore a page out of a book and you didn't get to read that page, are you still going to understand the story? Yes.
Yeah.
100%. So we have to look at things like skipping a workout. Okay, you skipped a workout, but don't skip 2. Move your body the next day. Fat loss happens in the long game.
Yeah.
Just like a single salad is not going to make you skinny, a single pizza or piece of cake is not going to make you fat.
Yeah.
Period.
Also, I think it's important to note, especially on the working out side, that there are days where you're going to be sore or tired or whatever. Sometimes you just have to show up. So I think that's totally fine. Like, even if going into it, like, I am not going to be 100% today, but I'm going to show up for myself, you will never regret that decision.
Absolutely, 100%. And that even goes for the idea that, ladies, I get it. We're all, ladies over 40, we're all in perimenopause, menopause, postmenopause. We all have joint pain. We all have those things, right? Here's the deal. I have knee pain right now, and I really wanted to do some light jogging on a treadmill, incorporate that along with my strength training that I'm doing. And my knee pain is not allowing it sometimes. And when it doesn't allow it, well, I don't make an excuse and just quit. I get on a treadmill and I just don't jog. I just walk.
Yeah.
I walk at a slower pace, but I still show up. May it be a short period of walking? Absolutely.
Yeah. Don't find an excuse to fail. Find a reason to succeed.
Amen.
God, that's so good. I just came up with that.
Build an emergency response plan for yourself. Have a go-to reset routine when you feel yourself slipping. Feeling yourself slipping is normal. But give yourself a emergency response plan. You might have an emergency response plan for, hurricanes or earthquakes or whatever it else is that you deal with. Well, have an emergency response plan for yourself, for your inner self. Have a reset routine. Maybe it's putting your workout clothes on. Even if you don't go work out, putting on your workout clothes. Hey, that's a start, right? Writing down or reading your goals to yourself. So those are key things in recovering from a slip up, because I want you to recover quickly. We don't want to take until Monday to recover. We don't want to take, if you have a slip up and you take until Monday to recover, regardless of what day it is, or you wait until the first of the next month, you're going to be in that cycle for a really long time and very frustrated. And that's part of the problem, ladies. The F-it mentality is just an old habit that you have to rewire, and you have to start rewiring today. So the next time you hear that little voice saying, just give up, you tell it, nope, no, I've got a plan. I'm in control. Because you are stronger than your slip-ups. You are capable of crushing your goals. And you are capable of making really great choices. And if you want to know more about creating a plan for yourself that doesn't feel restrictive so that you don't end up in the F-it spiral, I am starting my March Meltdown March 3rd. So join us. You can find a link at thecaloriedeficitqueen.com under the coaching tab, or go to my Instagram page and click on the links in the bio, or the circles at the top of my page that say coaching. There's a lot of different ways to get there. You can message me if you need to, and I'll be happy to send you a link. Thank you for joining us on another episode of Transform Yourself. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, leave a review, share the love. But until next time, keep shining, keep smiling, keep transforming yourself.
Adios.